All right, so welcome to a new video. We're going to talk about what's going to happen this week in the stock market, or at least what I'm expecting the market to do. But basically, to start things off, Trump kind of tweeted in his, platform, in his Twitter, basically Truth Social or whatever it's called. Um, Basically, to summarize, you can read it yourself by pausing the video. But basically, to summarize, he's basically saying that nobody's off the hook, right? For the unfair trade balances and non-monetary tariff barriers. He's going to be continuing this trade war and continuing to kind of increase tariffs if need be, and just keep the thing that he has been doing since the last 2-3 weeks, and keep that pace going. And all basically, if you read the whole thing, all you kind of understand is that the main villain to Trump is China in this whole tariff war. He is basically going after China, and he's going to do so for as long as possible until there's some kind of negotiations or some compromise or something that happens. And he is also going to be looking into semiconductors and electronic supply chain. So he's going to be talking about that, or he's going to be investigating those things and tariffs on those things. So probably going to be seeing some big moves on the semiconductor stocks this week. And in general, just a lot of stocks are going to be moving up and down, back and forth. And that's basically it, right? And it's not anything new that he's saying here. He's just very particular about China. I mean, the amount of times he mentions China here is quite a bit, right? Like once, two times, three times, just from the top of just looking at it. But yeah, like he is very, very adamant about China, and obviously it's not just China. He's gonna be going around everywhere trying to work this whole tariff thing out. But you kind of get the point, right? So to me, it's just gonna be an ongoing battle. I mean, we have seen how the market has reacted. If we look at SPY right here, we have had some incredibly huge, heavy, volatile movements in the SPY and in the market in general. Now, we started off when he started talking about the whole tariffs and everything. We started off, dropping to begin with, and then we had some little bit of consolidation here. But you can see how absolutely massive the volume has become on the downside, and this is basically a lot of panic selling. And I want to kind of talk about that as well, mentioning the fact that if you are a retail trader, if you are the regular person and you're seeing drops like this, it is normal to fear it, but this isn't a reason to sell. This is an opportunity to buy. You should not be panic selling. That is the first thing. You should not be panic selling. The folks who panic sell, they miss out on generational wealth that comes after the bounce that starts off of these big drops. It is historically proven. It is always going to happen. In fact, it's just unthinkable at this point. Every time, if we go back to the SPY's chart, the S&P 500 chart, and we look at all the big drops, every big recession and depression and huge panic sell and drops follows big rallies, follows new all-time highs for the market, further growth in stocks across the board. And this just kind of proves and should give you enough confidence to always look for stocks that have gotten cheaper during these massive drops. I mean, this is COVID days, right? We saw how COVID days we went on SPY from 340 peak all the way down to 215. This was about 130-point drop, followed by the next couple of months proceeding to overtake the COVID highs and reach new heights. I mean, from this COVID rally, the next 1 to 2 year was very explosive. And then we had that 2021 2022 drop. This was about 150, almost 200-point drop, and then that proceeded to go see big push in the market to new highs, which was 600 plus, right? And then now we have this big drop again. And well, to me, this looks like the best time to get the big techs, the Nvidias, the Amazons, the Apples, the Costco stocks that are proven to continue to grow because they have a business model that will survive during a recession, will survive during these downturns. And when these stocks that are proven to have grown throughout history and have proven to gone up every year or every couple of years, you kind of just know that, hey, this big drop is my buying opportunity. And that's what I have been doing with my long-term portfolio, and I hope that you have done so as well. Now, moving on, let's take a look at what couple of stocks that I'm looking at for this week. Just kind of an overview of them. Obviously, SPY being my main one. If we look at the monthly chart or the weekly chart, you'll notice that this big support here, this was the previous level of highs that we hit before dropping. This was back in 2022, January of 2022. We dropped all the way down here by November of 2022. So that whole year was a lot of downturn before we went up and broke out in 2023 and hit new peaks by the end of December of 2024, 2025. January of 2025, and then of course we drop back down, and look where we drop back down to. We basically drop all the way back down to that level we hit previously back in 2021 or 2022 of January. This is a big level of support. So heading into the next couple of weeks and so on, including this week, if there is more tariff news and more downturn in the market, this level of 480 is going to be a very big level to watch out for, because we bounced off of this level after the big drop. And that 480 level is key, right? If we ever break below 480, you're going to short the market and you're going to make as much money on put options or whatever you want to do. But that's basically how I'm going to play it, is I'm going to basically focus on that 480 level as the big boss of the current market level on SPY, and that is going to be very important. 480 being the big support that we bounced off of. And of course, if we look at the daily chart for SPY, just purely off of technicals, we had a massive green day because there was that news of Trump saying, oh, there might be a pause on tariffs, which obviously ended up not being the case. But basically, big spike on that. And then the next day, we had a red candle. Now, if you notice, this red candle is inside this big green candle. What is considered, this is technically a inside day candle pattern. If you can Google that and see how it works. But it's basically telling us that after this big spike, we get a consolidation followed by potential next leg up. And the beauty of it is, on the following day, which was a small green day, we had a nice green day that was breaking. And in fact, we kind of closed right above this red candle's highs. This signals a bit of a bullish move here. And this is technically breaking out of this red candle's consolidation zone in a bullish way. So heading towards this week, there's a potential push that we can get on the market, maybe back to 550 and above. So worth watching for sure. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not, right? This market is very changing, right? It's back and forth. One day you're up huge, the next day market is down huge. So do not expect the technicals to work just because it won't when it comes to news. If there's a news out in the market is going to react to it negatively or positively depending on the news. Technicals don't really mean much on high volatile market. If the volatility in the market is coming from news is the main thing. So you have to be very careful when you're using technicals in the current market. But technicals does help if there is no news. If there is no news, technicals tend to give you a bit of a direction, maybe some anticipation of which way the market may go. Personally, I think market has the potential to go up this week if there is no new news comes out. But if there is, well, we'll see what happens, right? Obviously, SPY, big one. NASDAQ is another one that you should probably keep an eye on. QQQ did not really break out of the consolidation of this red candle. It tested it on Friday and then it rejected there. So heading into this week, I'm watching this, 455.50 level for a potential long and maybe some call options. And if we do sell off, I'll be looking at the low of this red candle as a potential short. So 432.60 would be a good area to short SPY, or not SPY but QQQ back down. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm watching. The other thing, VIX, that volatility index, the one that currently is up huge. We peaked at around 60 on VIX, and now we're kind of hovering within this zone of like 30 and 50. So watch out for VIX. If volatility increases and market starts going down again, VIX can see big spike towards 50 plus. But if VIX does break under 30, that is going to be a signal for more downside on VIX, which means the market is going to go up. VIX does the opposite of what the SPY does. So if VIX goes down, SPY goes up. If SPY goes down, VIX goes up, basically. So that's how it goes. So watch out for VIX. Definitely one of the important indexes to follow in terms of direction in the market. So watch out for that. Obviously, you saw Trump talk about semiconductors in his tweet. So NVIDIA is going to be very, very, one of the ones to watch out for, especially since NVIDIA has dropped quite a bit. It went to $84, $85. It's super cheap. So watch out for NVIDIA. I want to see if we can maybe take out, 115 and start pushing back above, seeing like 120, 120 plus. That would be really, really interesting if Trump gives the semiconductors some leeway, maybe. And that could give NVIDIA and AMD and some of these other semiconductors. I don't think TSM will probably get any benefits, but you get the point. Semiconductors will have some potential movement, volatility this week. So worth watching at the bare minimum, NVIDIA, because that is the big dog in the semiconductor sector. So watch out for that. The other one I have been consistently trading and will probably consistently trade for the next foreseeable future is App. And App is, to me, one of my favorite stocks at the moment. Very, very volatile, very easy to trade, very fun to trade. And yeah, just gonna be day trading this every day in the group. And if you want to be part of the group, link will be in the descriptions below. But essentially, I want to look to see if we can break through 250 255s and start heading back up. If I look at the 4-hour chart, this does to me look like a inverse head and shoulder that got built here. So I'm looking to see if we can maybe curl back up, break through these levels here around like 280 and start heading to 300, break 300, and that's probably guaranteed long in my opinion. 300 breaks, you should see easily 320 and above. I like the way this looks. It's like an inverse head and shoulder, barring that there's no new news that comes out to make the market go down. I am definitely looking at App as a potential long. The other thing I want to kind of point out is you draw an uptrend, you'll see that it kind of came down on Friday to this uptrend and it held. So if this uptrend holds heading into this upcoming week, look for a potential push to that 280 mark and then 300 and above. So definitely something that I am very closely going to be watching this week. And yeah, I mean, this is basically the few stocks that I'm watching. Netflix, another one that you could potentially look for a long above 950 in my opinion. I think 950 break, you got a nice gap to fill to 970, potentially even 1000. I got a nice little inverse head and shoulder here as well that is kind of forming, second shoulder build and push like this. So good setups. Technicals are telling me more upside on some of these tech stocks, so I'll be watching the upside here a lot. If there is news, I'll play the downside when it's time. But with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.